Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to the design session of the calibration program of C-Voucher. And this is Almudena Sanchez from Funding Box, which is C-Voucher coordinator. And with us, we have today Ms. Linda Bachman from the Swedish Agency for Economic and Regional Growth, Agnieszka Kromchal, hope I pronounced more or less okay, from the Regional Development Agency in Mazovia, in Poland, and Ms. Joanna Drakos, which is from the Regional Development Agency of Northwest in Romania. They are all from Regional Innovation Hubs, partners of C-Voucher, and they will be your hosts today and will guide you through the C-Voucher example to explain you how we designed our program. I'll give them the floor in a minute, but before, for those of you who is the first time that is attending the calibration program, let me do a short introduction to C-Voucher and also to this program, to the calibration program. C-Voucher was the first pan-European acceleration program with a focus on circular economy. We've been funded by the EU program Horizon 2020, and we've been working to support the SMEs on their way to the circular economy by leveraging on technology and design thinking. There's a 12 partners consortium behind this project, and 6 of them are regional innovation hubs, like the representatives we have today with us. Since we launched the program back in April 2018, we've accelerated 12 circular solutions and 42 circular business cases, and through 2 different types of acceleration program and 4 different codes. As a result of this, we've gained very interesting and actionable learnings on how to accelerate circular solutions in traditional SMEs. And we would like to share this with you, but not only this, but also in helping you, we would like to help you in adapting what we've learned to your own ecosystem and your own needs, right? So today's session, it will be for this, but on the stage of the design of the project, of the program. So I'll leave you in a minute just with the content, but I'll give you a couple of indications for the operative of the meeting. As you can see in the left-right menu, there should be a section called questions, right? You can write there any questions you would like to make during the presentation, and by the beginning we will try to address them all, right? Also, at the end of the presentation, sorry, this is what I meant, we will have a question and answers time, right? If you prefer to speak out loud, just raise your hand and then I'll unmute your microphone for you to speak, right? And yes, please remember that these sessions are for you. We would like to help you and support you in designing your program to boost the circular economy. So please feel free to ask any questions or doubts. And also, if you have comments on your needs or maybe on your expectations, that will be very welcome. So once more, just thanks for your time and attention. And now, Linda, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I put the screen in full mode, so I hope you can see my slides now.
Yes, we can, Linda.
Okay, good. Oops, sorry.
Can we share the full screen?
Yeah, I'm sharing the full screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so welcome everyone to the C-Voucher Calibration Program and to today's session that will focus on how to design a program for circular business development in SMEs. So today we will talk about how to build a strong regional partnership around circular economy and how to engage all resources to be part of the solution. And presenting today will be me, Linda Backman from Sweden, Joanna Dragos from Romania, and Agnieszka Kroszmal from Poland. So, oops, sorry. So this presentation will be based on our experiences we achieved during the C-Voucher project. And C-Voucher is the first pan-European acceleration program with circular economy focus. And this program is funded by Horizon 2020 and started in April 2018 and will end this June. So C-Voucher targets 5 sectors: agri-food, health, manufacturing, sea industry, and textiles, which are all filtered through the smart specialization sectors of the partner regions. And mentioned earlier, today we will talk about the program design and how and with whom should we collaborate, what are the needs of our local regional companies, which innovation support can we provide. So with that, I hand over to Joanna. Please go ahead.
Thanks. And can you, okay. Let's see the details for today. So basically, the aim is to share with you how we have designed the 2 kinds of acceleration programs for circular economy that Almudena presented briefly to you before. So these were the main outputs of our 2 years project. But the question is how we did it. So this is why the aim is to share with you as much as we can, sharing also documents via the community, but also answering inquiries that you might have on the tools that we used and on the design that we have gathered around. First of all, the target is mainly for organizations and regions who are planning to replicate, let's say, at a certain level, this kind of call of proposal. This means in terms of resources that you will have to have a budget for it, because what we have done, right, is running 2 kinds of programs dedicated to companies which received innovation vouchers, but also support services in order to develop a circular solution with the help of other third organizations which have the expertise to help towards the solution. So first of all, we have gathered around a network of stakeholders, starting from clusters and research and development and innovation providers. And then we will let you know what kind of tools we have used, how actually we planned the financial tools, the vouchers, the amount of vouchers, how many companies we can finance out of the budget available, but also how we designed all the support services around the acceleration program and for how long, and also in which way we have reached the target companies, how we evaluate them, and which tool we have used in order to find the winners and then to support it. So our first approach will be to share how actually we create this stakeholder environment. Can you move the slide, please, Linda? So the scope was starting from the project partners, who are actually, as you saw, 13 partners, mixing acceleration organizations, regions from 6 countries, but also industry leaders, companies, big companies and organizations, clusters, around the sectors, the targeted sectors that we have approached in C-Voucher. So from these project partners, we have moved to the next slide, please. We have moved to through a genuine partnership for innovation, creating a circularity open space on these layers that you see here, going beyond the partnership of the project and attracting in the partnership several clusters in the partner regions. And the clusters were, of course, around the smart specialization sectors from each region, and they were involved, the clusters, actually 41 clusters in total, representing more than 5,500 companies across these regions, and they were involved in the first process of designing the call of proposals. And then we have used a platform run by the coordinator of the project, by Funding Box, in order to keep this community on, and we plan to keep this community going also beyond the C-Voucher project, in order to build up knowledge, competencies, but also future initiatives which were built on actually the activities and the network that has been around the project. Next slide, please. Therefore, the clusters, but also the research and development organizations and companies were identified, as I said, from the beginning in the process of elaborating the calls of proposals. And we have started with identifying the challenges, the problems. If we speak about circular economy, which are the problems which are facing now the companies, and not only in our regions. And of course, then we have expanded then to other general challenges and problems across Europe and globally. These were actually the stages in terms of methodology on the design. And you will see in detail then how we approach and how we committed the clusters and the partners in what we have called regional camps. Next slide, please. In these regional camps, organized before actually starting elaborating the call of proposal, in order to go in depth and to see which are the problems in terms of facing the circular economy approach. And using uniformous methodology, we have adapted it to each of the region, each of the partner regions. So there were 6 European regions organizing these regional camps. We have organized it twice, so yearly, for each of the call of proposal in place. And you see here pictures from several such camps. In Romania, for example, we have gathered, as I said, clusters, universities, research organizations, but also companies. And using discussions and first identified challenges, we have discussed it around and presented in terms of problems, but also in terms of potential solutions. So in this way, it was a bottom-up approach that the final result of the call of proposal to be actually to respond to real problems identified in these partner regions. And using the same methodology, we want to share how this was adapted also in the other partnering regions. So for this, maybe Linda, you can share with us how the regional camps were organized in Sweden.
Yes, so as many of you probably know, Sweden is a fairly large country when it comes to area. So so even before the COVID pandemic, we chose to perform the workshop digital or semi-digital, because people could choose if they wanted to come and visit us physically or if they wanted to join the workshop digitally. So we did that and discussed the challenges, and we believe we reached out to a lot of companies and clusters when we did this digitally and had the option to join, even if you weren't able to join physically. So Agnieszka, would you like to let us know how you did it in Poland?
Of course, with pleasure. We managed to do it regionally. One of the event were organized in Płock. We decided to go there to be closer to the clusters. So we invited and presented, we invited not only clusters, also entrepreneurs and their researchers, but the group was not too big in order to have the opportunity to discuss it and to identify the problems and face it. The second event were organized in Warsaw, and we decide to present first the good practices and some examples, and then we faced it with our region and our legal possibilities that we've got in our country. We are not developed in circular economy as much as Sweden, but we tried to face it and to adapt good solutions. So as you can see, the way of implementation is different in each country, but in every region we tried to have the same or at least the similar outcome. Next slide, please. We used the same methodology in every region, and we start, as you can see in this slide, we start with the regional camp, where we organized 12 of that. And in every regional camp, the challenges were defined and the process of prioritization were done. And later on, with this outcome, the European camp were organized when every region was participated, and where those challenges were discussed and then were prioritized perfectly. So, of course, if you want to read it in details, you are able to see it in the conclusion report, where you are very welcome to do that. Next slide, please. As the output of the challenges, the catalog was developed. You've got here the link to that. It is like a 15 pages document, so you are able to read it in very detailed way. What kind of challenges were defined, are classified. Of course, you are also able to read about the methodology, because the catalog includes both the identification of challenges and the methodology. Next slide, please. Yeah. And of course, all is sectored for the building blocks. You've got here also the link. Those links are very helpful, because when you go there, you're able to face it and to see in detail what we are doing and how we classified that, what we defined, what are the examples. So I encourage you to click on that and to do that. later on after the presentation. Of course, if you've got any question, we can try to answer it after the presentation, but you also can ask the question during whole week when you read all the documents. So the building, we've got, as you can see, 8 building blocks, and when you go on that page and click on one of it, you will see the example, the description, so you will be able to define whether it suits to you or no. And next slide, please. And if I can now ask Joanna to present that.
Yeah, so actually, this is how we have formulated the objectives, the goal. What is the goal of the open calls that we designed? In this way, we have pinpoint, let's say, which are the main problems, and then with the open call of proposals, we tried to find the solution, at least for part of those highlighted challenges that were identified, as you saw from this bottom-up approach. So what were the tools that we planned in order to answer these problems and these challenges? First of all, the financial tools, relying on a budget of almost 1.5 million. We have split, let's say, on maturity level, the kinds of solutions that we expected to answer those challenges. So first of all, there was a circular program for, let's say, more mature solutions. The companies which applied had the chance to actually develop the planned solution by reaching out to external expertise, depending on the needs. And for that, we have offered vouchers of $60,000. And the other program, the Replication Adopters Program, implied solutions which can be prepared, let's say, following the circular solutions, or following, for example, the glimpse from the building blocks that you have seen. And for that, a business case could be elaborated for 3 months, and the voucher of 50K was then about to cover the costs of the elaboration, and then to allow the company to start implementing the solution. This is in terms of financial. We have structured in these 2 ways. In terms of support services, the acceleration programs, the first one lasted initially 9 months, and the adopters program for 3 months. During this time, the companies, the beneficiary companies, had the chance to benefit of a pack of integrated support service, design thinking services and coaching, business support sessions, and also access to private and public funding opportunities. All these integrated pack will be explained in detail into the next session that will follow next week. This session is just to point all the resources to see in overall which were the pieces of the puzzle, let's say, that we have planned in order to build up the call of proposal and then to implement it, the programs. Also, in terms of application, for the more mature solutions, we have designed a 2-stage application. First one, we have used external evaluators and then a validation by the partners. using an evaluation guide and an evaluation grid that we at the level of the consortium have built around. And then the finalists were able to participate using a 2,000 euro travel voucher to a bootcamp event, which we actually called Prototype-a-thon. We might have the trademark maybe on the word. And actually it was a program, a mini program of 2 days in which the finalist companies benefited from intense training in terms of preparing the pitch and structuring the business case, so that the final event and the finalists were chosen after pitching presentation. We had the chance to do this twice before the pandemic, once in Spain and last year in France, in Paris, and then end up with 7 and another 7 finalists. For the replication program, for the voucher of 50K, we have chosen to have a first stage evaluation only, so no pitching, using again the external evaluation and then validation from partners. But the pitch training was actually within the acceleration program of the 3 months, and then it was the final presentation for the companies which actually were included in the program. Next slide, please. So these were actually the 2 programs that we were mentioning, and also the duration of each program and the package support. In the end, we have supported 12 companies developing the solution and 42 companies preparing the business case for a future solution, with a total budget of 1,350,000 euro only in vouchers, plus the services, the coaching services, which were separately from the vouchers. So actually, we have designed the program having 2 main pieces of the puzzle: direct grants to companies in the shape of voucher, and these support services for the acceleration program. Next slide, please. And in terms of financial scheme, because this is always a choice, okay, there is a voucher, but how to award it, based on what criteria and how, using which financial methodology to use. In the circularity program, so the one for maximum 60,000 euro, the voucher actually went not necessarily to the company which applied, but through the company went to the service provider, because the company applied in order to solve a problem and to develop a solution. But the service provider, which was actually in most of the cases a third party, could be a technology provider, a digital or software provider, depending on the solution, research and development organization, or an innovation R&D company which has designed, for example, a certain prototype or run some tests for the main beneficiary for the company which applied. These were the restrictions that we have imposed, that the service providers should be either SMEs, so not large company, either research and development organizations, and these were actually also conditions imposed by the program, as well as, for example, the maximum amount of the voucher, this 60K, which was also a limit imposed by the program. Of course, depending on what you have behind as structure, you have the liberty to design different amounts of maximum thresholds thresholders in order to meet the solution and the problem. And for the other program, next slide, please. And for the other program, for this voucher of 60K, the voucher actually was awarded directly to the applicant SME this time, but not before or during the acceleration program, as happened in the other program, but actually at the end of the program, after the company showed progress during the 3 months acceleration program, and also had an output as outputs the development of a business case that the mentors and the designer in residence helped in the elaboration during the acceleration period, and also pitch deck, also benefiting from pitch training from the accelerators in the program. And this was actually a lump sum. So it depends very much on how you choose to structure the financial support. Next slide, please. And the tools that were mentioned in the presentation, both the catalog with circularity challenges and the methodology that we have used to identify actually the challenges and the problems and the circular building blocks, you can find them all in the community. And for the rest of the details, don't forget to register for the next sessions. Each session takes place on Thursday, so the next one will be on the 9th of April. And don't forget to join the circular community, the marketplace, in order to stay in touch and to build up on these resources that we are sharing with you. But if there are questions, maybe Almudena can tell if there are written questions now on the chat.
No, not at the moment. No questions this far. But if you prefer to speak up, just raise your hand and I'll open the mic for you. Okay.
We can mention that if you have questions that you come up with after this presentation, you're more than welcome to contact us, either through the spaces or by email, or just let us know if you have any questions or comments.
Yes, also for you to know, the recording will be also uploaded to the community so that you can recap on what has been said here. And also materials, as Johanna mentioned, are there. You can also ask questions or maybe interact between each other if you would like to, because this is not just about us sharing our materials, but we would also like you to help you in adapting what we did to your own needs. And maybe you can find some other organizations that are facing similar questions or problems, and they can share their experience with you. So I would encourage you to interact in the community, just not only for the questions, of course, as well if you want to, but overall, yeah. So still no questions, no raised hands. Okay, so I don't know, we will wait a couple more minutes, but if there are no additional questions or comments, or if you don't want to share nothing with us, it's kind of, we can leave it and do it in the community, there's no problem. So
Both the community and the C-Voucher website have the resources that we have mentioned, and we are available.
Yes. Maybe when you will study the documents we mentioned today, and you've got any questions, something is difficult, or you are not able to understand something because we've got sometimes very specific name of the action, you can of course ask us, and we will try to define it or to adapt it to every circumstances. So
yeah, and if you have any problems in joining or finding information, you've got also our inbox email in the chat, so you can also reach us through this channel. So, well, I think this is it. Thank you very much to all of you, Linda, Joanna, and Agnieszka, for your help and for sharing with us. Thank you all thank you as well to all attendees who shared this time with us and give us your attention. And yeah, we're willing to see you in the community. Thank you very much. Hope to see you soon.
thank you. Bye.
Bye and happy holidays.
Yeah.
Thank you.